I don't know who you were referring to as, like, why you have such a hatred for Valentine's.
I don't have it's not a hatred. And
Guys, doesn't sound like a hatred. It's like, who hurt you?
It's not.
Like, who hurt you? You are anti-Valentine.
You know, I'm not against celebrating love, right? I want to celebrate you more than just February 14th, right?
And you do.
You know what I mean? Like, every day it should be a Valentine for both of us. She low-key, I don't believe it though.
No, it's small things. Like, if you buy me a bottle of perfume, like, that's fine, with some flowers and chocolate.
And what if I don't? We're all different as individuals, right? So how I relate to a challenge, how I perceive a challenge may be different than how Sharice does it or how someone else does it. So the approach does matter. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the new episode of the Myles High Podcast. I'm Myles Jr., your host, and as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. Got a great pod today. So we are in Love Month, right? The month of February. But in particular, this is Love Week. Valentine's Day is this week. So we're celebrating love this week, ladies and gentlemen. So for all you lovebirds out there who are going to do something special this week, shouts to y'all. You know, funny enough, my wife and I are just coming off our 1 year anniversary celebration. Good job to us. This went by pretty fast, though, I must say. This year has been great. We've been enjoying it. We have enjoyed each other's company. We've grown a lot together as a married couple now. So happy anniversary again, babe.
Happy anniversary. It feels weird to be married.
What you mean?
Like it's weird when someone says your wife or your husband or something.
It's be weird when people say Mrs. Munroe.
Yeah.
No, for real. But it's been a great year. We've really enjoyed it, and you know, I'm hoping for many more years, many more anniversary celebrations. But you know, that brings me to what I want to talk about today. The title of this pod, right? So we're going into. Well, first, let me talk about Valentine's, right? Because my wife knows we've had this conversation quite a number of times, and I am not a big fan of Valentine's Day, right? I feel like Valentine's Day is just like this made-up day that they selected to be like, all right, we're going to designate this day for lovers, for them to like spend money on flowers and chocolates and teddy bears and like all of these things that, you know, honestly, I feel we should be doing with our significant others every day of the year, right, throughout the year, not just on one day. You know, I'm not really one to celebrate or buy into the day of Valentine's. I think it's very commercialized at this point. You know, I like to think that I kind of have Valentine's with my wife. She rolling eyes right now, but I have Valentine's with my wife every day.
Oh my God.
Right, because you know why is it that we have to buy a gift for our significant other on a particular day? Right, it ain't your birthday, it ain't Christmas. Yeah, I mean, so why? And then the focus is so much on the women, right? So I know me and Sharice would have this conversation, and you know, I'd be like, well, if I have to do something for you for Valentine's Day, you have to do something for me. I like flowers too. I don't like roses or anything. I do like flowers.
You don't like flowers.
I like sunflowers.
Like flowers.
I like sunflowers. I love sunflowers. But I mean, you know, if I feel like we should be the men in the relationships should be highlighted too on this day. This isn't just the day for the females, right? This is the lovers' day, right? And it's the male and the female, the man and the woman. You don't agree?
No, I agree. I mean, even back when we were like in high school and people would have Valentine's Day it was reciprocal, you would buy your Valentine something. So I don't know when.
So what changed? What changed?
I don't think anything changed.
What changed as you got older?
I don't think anything changed. You've always gotten Valentine's gift, even when we were dating. So I don't know who
always?
You were referring.
Even the first time?
Always. I don't know who you were referring to as, like, why you have such a hatred for Valentine's.
I don't have it's not a hatred. And
guys, doesn't sound like a hatred. It's like, who hurt you?
It's not.
Who hurt you?
It's not a hatred.
You are anti-Valentine
because
for
of
some
the,
reason.
Because of the commercialization of it. That's all.
Yeah, but like we discussed, everything is commercialized. Even Christmas, Easter, everything is commercialized. So why not? Why not? Why stop at Valentine? Why not say even Christmas? Like, you are forgetting the reason for Christmas. Why do you do so much? So it's just not Valentine's Day. I think you have an unfair, bias against that one day. Let's talk.
Let's talk. Let me lay out in the couch.
When did it all begin?
Well, it started back. But it's just the commercialization of Valentine's, and I'm not against celebrating love, right? Because but I just feel like, especially when we're talking about like our marriage, right? I want to celebrate you more than just February 14th, right?
And you do.
And that's intentional, right? Because I feel like it shouldn't just be, I do this for you for Valentine's and this holds me over for the next couple of months. And I should, like every day it should be a Valentine for both of us, right? And I just, I don't hate the holiday. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Sharice and I would still do little things here and there. You may, go to dinner or like buy each other like small gifts or whatever. But for the most part, like, it's not like a focus of a day that we celebrate.
Yeah, it's not like if you don't do something grand, it's a problem. It's just.
She low key. I don't believe it though.
No, it's small things. Like if you buy me a bottle of perfume, like that's fine with some flowers and chocolate.
And what if I don't? She said, with some flowers.
It's fine, and I reciprocate as well. I get you things you like. You get your charcuterie board. You get this.
Don't put me on blast, please.
I don't think it's putting you on blast.
Anyway, I love.
Be expensive.
I love charcuterie boards, by the way. But what if I don't get you a gift? That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine because you always get me gifts. So it's not like I'm only waiting on Valentine's Day for a gift.
Low-key, she lying, guys.
No, like seriously. Don't try it this year, but like,
some other year. You can need that little thing.
You need that.
So, happy Valentine's Day, Valentine's week to all the lovers out there. Whatever you do, just ensure that it's not just this day that you're celebrating your love. Just extend it throughout the rest of this year. It should be an everyday thing.
And I think, too, we can use this day not only to celebrate our significant other, but friends and family.
No, absolutely.
And, kids, too, that's where it starts.
Because, the women y'all love with Galentine's, which y'all to celebrate.
Yep.
Single ladies.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think that's something else. Is Galentine's just for single people?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was for
because they don't have no one to celebrate with. Talia.
But I still think other people, even though you're married, you still get with your friends, and it's for like appreciation.
Yeah. I mean, it's celebrating love, right?
Yes, love.
And it's I guess commercially it's what we're supposed to do in February. For some reason, February is now the month of love.
Yes.
Which is cool. I think we could find a reason to celebrate. But I think I'm just saying, like, I think the celebration of love should be done on a daily basis, especially if you're married with your spouse. Just showing and expressing that love in the way that works for your spouse, right? Because the way that I express my love to Sharice is in the way that she would express her love to me, and vice versa. And for every couple out there, I'm sure you guys can attest to that. But that brings me to what I want to discuss on this pod, right? Because this is a month of love, and we're getting into a focus on like Valentine's Day is coming up this week. So the topic that I wanted to discuss is evolve and thrive, right? But evolving and thriving, I wanted to put a focus into it with relationships or in relationships, and not just like love relationships, but friendships, business relationships, all of that, right? I was scrolling social media earlier this year, and I came across this gentleman. His name is Quentin Brown, and he was doing this. He was having this discussion about love and people that love us, right? And he said this. He said the person that loves you the most is the person that challenges you to be uncomfortable. I'm gonna let that breathe. The person that loves you the most is the person that challenges you to be uncomfortable. I heard that quote and I thought about it, and I was like, man, that is entirely true, right? And he went on to say, because we're taught when we're growing up, right, that the person who loves me is the person who accepts me for who I am. Man, I can't tell you the amount of times, me as a teenager, I've said or I've heard someone say, like, if you love me, you'll just accept me for who I am, and it's what we've been conditioned to think and how we've been brought up, right? And thinking that, man, if someone isn't going to accept me, then how can they love me? I don't want to be in this relationship. And it just brings me to like Teresa's and I relationship, right? Like I could remember when we first started dating. I guess both of us were a little hesitant to change, right? Because we have this mindset of like nobody's going to change me. Like, you're not going to change me. I am who I am. So you could love me or hate me or leave me alone, right? And essentially, like, that's the attitude that a lot of us bring into relationships, right? And there were things that Sharice was challenging me about that I rejected at first, right? And I took a little offense to, right? With I guess my approach on things or the way that I perceived certain things in life. And, she would challenge those perspectives, and, it would create, I guess, some friction in our relationship. And as we continue to communicate about it, right, and converse and have discussions, eventually, like, I may start to realize, like, okay, she makes sense, and I see some flaws in like my perspective and things that I can work on. And for her, the same way, right? We've both been a challenge. We've both been challenging each other in different aspects of our relationship, and I think it's allowed us both to grow individually and in our relationship, right? I'm definitely not the same person individually that I was, 5 years ago. And I could tell you, she definitely is not. I'm so proud of you, babe. Way to grow and evolve and accept the challenges.
You're welcome.
Nah, but this mindset of just take me as I am, right? And if you love me, you're gonna love me for who I am. I really think it sidetracks us from evolving, right? Evolving as individuals and developing ourselves entirely. And what Quentin Brown said is so entirely true, right? Because the person that loves you the most is the person that challenges you to be uncomfortable. A lot of the things, a lot of the times that, Sharice would give me some pushback, I felt super uncomfortable because I had to open up myself in a way that, I've never done before in a relationship. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I felt vulnerable. I felt like I was, and sometimes we have this mindset of like, I'm changing for this person. Right. And, I tried to suppress that feeling and try to, be adamant about, I'm not changing for anybody. I'm just going to remain this person that I am, not knowing that person was a stubborn person, someone that didn't listen, someone that thought, his way was the best way and the right way to do things. So I was very arrogant in a sense. And it took me, being a bit more humble and being a bit more open to different perspectives. And you have to trust the person who is giving the perspective, right? Obviously, everyone that challenges us or everyone that gives us pushback they don't do it with love, right? Sometimes it's manipulation, sometimes it's control, sometimes it's trying to insert some type of power or influence. But I'm talking about people that truly love us, right? People that really want us to change or want us to evolve into a better individual, or the individual that they see in us that we may not see in ourselves. Right? I could remember my dad when I was younger. Like, my dad always challenged me to a point where I always felt uncomfortable having certain conversations with my dad. And there were things that I just wouldn't talk to him about because, I may want to go there and be like, yo, I just want to ask you a simple question. Just give me a yes or no, please. And then my dad wouldn't give me a yes or no, right? It would just be like this long discussion. I'd be like, Daddy, I ain't trying to think. Like, you have me using too much of my brain cells right now, right? But, I eventually realized that he was trying to pull more out of me than just the question that I was asking or the answer that I was looking for. And it's something that, I tend to do now, in my relationships with Sharice. Again, she's rolling her eyes because, it's so funny to me because I used to hate when my dad did it. And I find myself doing the same things now because I understood why he was doing it. I understood what he was trying to like pull out of me, right? And it just challenged me. It challenged me to be a better person, especially in my professional life, right? I never want to be one-track minded. So my dad actually taught me to never want to do or accomplish the things that we accomplished last year. I'm always trying to outdo myself. And not outdo myself in competition, but just outdo myself in a mind state of there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So we skinned the cat a particular way last year. Let's find a new way, maybe a better way to do it this year. So that constant state of evolution that I try to keep in my life as I go through, these different obstacles in my professional life, in my personal life, even in my spiritual life. I try to accept these challenges so that I can grow. And my dad was one of the catalysts that sparked that growth in me, because of his love for me. He expressed that by wanting to pull out and wanting to see this evolution of who I was or who I could be. The person that I didn't know that existed. Right, the person that is comfortable now, sitting here and having this conversation with you guys, on this podcast and enjoying it, right, and being confident in it. 10, 15 years ago, this was not me. But he saw it and he, set me on the path to evolve to this point. And it's something that I think is important, especially when we get into relationships, right? Because if you're in a relationship with the right person, like for Sharice, there were things that Sharice was showing me, or I guess wasn't showing me, that I knew that she had, that she possessed, that I wanted to pull out of her. So, she calls it me being annoying. But it's just really me challenging her beyond the point that she may want to be challenged, right? Because I could relate to, that pushback that she gives to say, man, I ain't trying to have this conversation right now. Because I used to do the same thing. Like she would ask me a particular question. I mean, let me let you, she rolling her eye again. like
this is the annoying part right here.
Explain.
Because like you said, how you used to carry on with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask you a simple question. Like, what is 20% of $20,000? And then you would ask me, well, would you if 20%, well, what is 10%? What do you think? Like, I ain't ask you all of that. Like, I am not a mathematician. I know I can pull up my calculator, but you're right there. You want me to pull out a piece of paper, write it down, telling me how to get it? Like, no, I just need you to answer, what is 20% of this $20,000? So it's like stuff like that. But I do feel that you do challenge me to do more, because in terms of, if I ask you a question, you would look at it and make me see the bigger picture instead of just this one thing. So I think you do challenge me, but sometimes it's like, this ain't the right time, this ain't the right place.
And Sharice is the type of person, like, when we have the conversation, like, it'll be resistance in the conversation. And then, like, maybe a couple of days later, like, I'll just peep her doing, like, what I suggested or what I recommended. So, like, she be listening, but she just stubborn, right? And I guess the type of person who, like you ain't gonna tell me what to do. Like, I could do it when I want to do it, And the reason why it's funny to me, because I'm the exact same way, right? Like, don't tell me what to do, right? Like, if I ask you a question, I ask you to give me an instruction or give me a command, like, right. You can make a suggestion. You could, like, whatever the case. But eventually, I think, like, if you're the type of person that want to evolve or want to grow, like, you're going to see the sense in what's being said, and you're going to start applying it.
But I think too, it's also the person who is giving the information. I think it's how you give the information. It's not like a, overbearing type of way. I'm not ready to, like, you have to look at someone and see that they are ready to receive information, because there are times where it's like, listen, it ain't the right time, versus like if we're just sitting there and, we're having a conversation and you're like, hey, I want to teach you how to do something. Or I know a few weeks ago you asked me how to do something, but I thought about it and I want to present this way to tell you how to do something. So I think it's all about being, just connecting those dots and listening to, or just observing how someone is in that particular moment.
Yeah, but it's not, sometimes it's not going to come off the way you want it to come off, right?
Agreed.
And sometimes it's not even the way it's said. It's the fact that it's even being said, because I can remember sometimes my dad would have said things to me, or even sometimes you say things to me, and it's like, it's almost like how your approach is, like, who you think you're talking to? Mm-hmm. Like, why? Like, I ask you this, like, I ask you for your opinion on this or whatever. But, the fact that you say it, right, you make it audible. I hear it and I internalize it. Even if I reject it initially, I'm going to repeat it to myself and try to see, okay, does this make sense? Because obviously she said it for a reason, or my dad said it for a reason. So how can I, like, what can I take away from it to apply to my life?
But I also think, too, it's sometimes people knowing that they are supposed to be doing something and they're not doing it. Like, I'm not living up to the expectation that I have for myself.
The potential. Don't say
the potential
expectation.
that I have for myself, or what people see in me, which is why a lot of people, react the way they do, because you holding up a mirror to me right now.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? We get offended, or we feel a certain type of way because these people hold up a mirror to ourselves, to us. And we see this reflection that man, this is who I'm supposed to be, but I ain't trying to, that take too much work, man. Like, I ain't trying to get to that point. You know what I mean? We have this resistance to change. We have this resistance to challenging ourselves, to evolving and thriving, right? And, Sharice brings up the good point. Like, persons who really love us, they see something in us, or they see so much more in us than what we are showing, right? Or than what we see in ourselves. And their love for us is causing them to want to pull that out of us. And, my dad was that type of person. Like, my dad would meet people. Like, I would ask my dad, like, these persons, it would be people who, like, don't have good motives, coming around him. And, some of them weren't terrible motives. It just wasn't, like, good motives. And I'd be like, why do you even waste your time? And, his perspective was like, I see something in these persons, in these people that I want to pull out, right? I see potential in them. I see something in them that I want them to see, that I want to challenge them to bring out. And that's not going to happen if I, like, tell them, like, not come around, or I resist them, or whatever. Like, sometimes you have to welcome the people that don't have good motives, to teach them a little bit more about themselves. And that takes, man, that takes some patience, super patient. Like, my dad was super patient with me. Y'all hear me? Like, like the patient, man, I'm so appreciative of the patience that he had, because I was super resistant to the challenges. And I think him showing me the patience allows me to be patient, at least a little patient, when doing that, right? And whether it's with Sharice, whether it's with, someone else that I'm working with, or a mentee, I'm willing to be patient, because I understand the process of the word or the challenge that is being given, the process of that setting in, and it all is supposed to come from love, right? And my point for this pod is, like, I want us to, in this month of love, right? When we love on people, let's love on them in a way where we don't just love them for who they are, right? Let's love them for who we know that they can be, right? And let's challenge them to bring that person out. And I want to challenge each of us this year, right? Moving forward, don't run away from the challenges. You know, in a lot of relationships end because like there's this feeling of like you trying to change me. Like I don't want you to change me, right? And I think we need to just convert thinking that people want to change us, that they're just challenging us to be better. So don't run away from the challenge. So this year I want us to commit to accepting the challenge, right? Accepting the challenge to evolve ourselves in our relationships, and evolve ourselves in our professional lives, evolve ourselves in our personal lives, because life is about overcoming challenges, right? We're supposed to be challenges. Challenges help to build the individuals that we are, right? It helps us to evolve into the individuals that we're supposed to be, and we're never supposed to stop being challenged. You know, I think it's a thing. It's like learning, right? We're never supposed to stop learning. There's always supposed to be information that we're retaining and that we're applying and putting some understanding to it and then applying it to our lives to show ourselves wise. So don't run away from the challenge this year. You know, that's my challenge to everyone for this year. I want us to accept the challenges in our love lives, in our professional lives, in our personal lives, to be better persons, you know, to be better individuals. Babe, anything else?
But I still think that when you speak of, you know, wanting to help people change, you also have to be mindful of the approach, because, you know, we try to help people in our lives, but if they aren't receptive to that change, that can strain relationships. Mm. So I think that's something that we should all be aware of, that there's a time and a place for everything, and do it with love, from a place of love. Mm.
Absolutely. And you know, again, to just tack on to that, we're all different as individuals, right? So how I relate to a challenge, how I perceive a challenge may be different than how Sharice does it or how someone else does it. So the approach does matter, right? You can't approach everyone the same way to challenge them to be better or to evolve. So in challenging, like, just be mindful of, you know, how you're going to put that challenge forth. But at the end of the day, I think if we ground it in love and we do it with love, hopefully the message gets across. And the message may not get across in the moment, right? It may take a couple of weeks, may take a couple of days, may take a couple of months. It may even take a couple of years. But, you know, as long as it was grounded in love, right, and it was expressed in love, I think at some point it'll hit home. And, you know, hopefully the individual that is being challenged, you know, accepts the challenge to evolve and thrive in their lives. All right. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. You know, being the month of love, I really wanted us to just look at it from a different perspective. I didn't want to, you know, get on the lovey-dovey couples type perspective. I wanted to dig a little deeper. And hopefully we were able to do that today. Babe, anything else you want to share?
No,
we good?
Nothing.
All right, so that brings us to the portion of the pod where I share with you a milestone. And the milestone today is quite simple, right? And it's simply, changing a habit is never difficult. Difficult is to address your unwillingness to do it. So changing habits isn't hard, right? But it becomes hard when you're unwilling to accept the challenge to change. So again, my challenge for us this year is let's not run away from the challenges. Let's not run away from the challenges in our love lives when our significant others are challenging us to be better individuals or to grow as an individual in the relationship. Let's not run away from challenges in our professional lives, right? When our managers, our supervisors, our bosses, our mentors, you know, just want us to evolve as individuals, as professionals. And let's not run away from challenges in our spiritual lives. You know, in my last pod, I said, you know, let's challenge ourselves to fast and pray a little more this year to grow our faith. And let's not run away from these challenges, right? Because we want to continue evolving and thriving as individuals. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this pod. This was a good one. Babe, thank you for your contributions.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. But as you know, as always, the vision and goal for this pod is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. So until next time, you guys stay blessed.